48 countries, 12 groups, 1 trophy, and a draw ceremony so complicated that even FIFA needed a flowchart to explain it. The 2026 World Cup is the biggest football tournament ever held. More teams, more games, more drama, and before a single ball is kicked, there's an entire mini event just to figure out who plays who. That event is the draw, and if you've ever watched one and thought, I have absolutely no idea what's happening right now, this video is for you. Let's break the whole thing down, fast. First, the basics. The 2026 World Cup is hosted across 3 countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It runs from June 11th all the way to July 19th, 2026. And for the first time in history, 48 national teams are competing. That's up from 32, which was already a lot. We added 16 more countries to the party. 16. FIFA basically said, you know what? Bigger is better. Whether that's true is a separate debate. Those 48 teams need to be split into groups so the tournament can actually function. And that's what the draw does. Simple concept. Slightly messy execution. Here's where it gets interesting. You can't just throw 48 teams into a hat and pull them out randomly. That would be chaos. You'd end up with Brazil, Argentina, France, and Spain all in the same group. And simultaneously a group containing 4 teams nobody's heard of. That's not a tournament. That's a nightmare. So FIFA uses a system called pots. Think of pots as tiers. 4 of them, 12 teams each. Pot 1 is the best teams in the world. Pot 4 is the lowest ranked qualifiers. Every group gets exactly 1 team from each pot. 1 big fish, 1 decent challenger, 1 scrappy mid-tier side, and 1 underdog. In theory, that gives every group some kind of balance. In practice, it's still possible to end up with a genuinely brutal group. More on that in a minute. So who's in pot 1? The 3 host nations, USA, Mexico, and Canada, get automatic pot 1 status. That's the perk of hosting. You're guaranteed to be a top seed regardless of your actual ranking, which is convenient because Canada, no offense, probably wouldn't be there on ranking alone. Joining them are the 9 highest ranked qualified teams: Spain, Argentina, France, England, Brazil, Portugal, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. That's basically a who's who of world football. 12 names, 12 groups. Each group gets 1. These are the teams that aren't supposed to go home early. Now, pot 2 is where things start to get spicy. Croatia, Morocco, Colombia, Uruguay, Japan. These are the teams that aren't winning the World Cup, but they might absolutely ruin your group stage. Draw one of these as your pot 2 opponent, and suddenly your easy path out of the group gets a lot harder. Ask any fan whose team has been knocked out by Japan or Morocco in recent years. They know pot 3 takes the next tier down. Teams like Senegal, Ecuador, Scotland, South Korea, Australia, dark horses, every one of them. Teams that won't win the tournament but will absolutely beat someone who should know better. And pot 4 is the lowest ranked qualifiers. Some of them so low that at the time of the actual draw, 6 spots weren't even filled yet. Placeholders, ghost teams, countries still in playoffs, whose actual name wouldn't be known until March 2026. This sounds simple. It isn't. Because FIFA also has a rule. Teams from the same continent mostly can't be in the same group. If you're from South America, you are not sharing a group with another South American team. Same goes for most other regions. The exception is Europe, because there are 16 European teams and only 12 groups. The math doesn't work. So you can have up to 2 European teams per group, but no more. This rule matters more than people realize. It shapes the entire draw. It limits which teams can end up together and creates constraints that the people running the draw have to navigate in real time. It's why the ceremony sometimes pauses awkwardly while they check the rules. They're not being dramatic. They're just doing maths live on television. Here's something new for 2026 that almost nobody's talking about. The format change. In past World Cups with 32 teams, you had 8 groups of 4. Top 2 go through. Simple, clean. 2 teams go home from each group to advance. This year, 12 groups of 4. Top 2 from each group still advance. That's 24 teams. But then they take the 8 best third place finishers across all 12 groups and let them in too. That means 32 teams make the knockout rounds out of 48, 2/3 of the entire field. Finishing third is no longer automatic elimination. You just need to be one of the 8 best third place teams. That completely changes how teams play the group stage. A team that loses their first game isn't necessarily dead. A team that draws all three might still survive. Pot 4 underdogs suddenly have a realistic path to the knockout rounds just by grinding out 2 draws. Every game has real stakes for everyone, right up until the end. And then there's the bracket design. FIFA didn't just want any 48 teams randomly drawn together, they also wanted to make sure the very best teams couldn't collide too early. So they built in a rule for the top 4 seeds: Spain, Argentina, France, England. These 4 were split across opposite sides of the bracket. If they all win their groups, big if, but still, Spain and Argentina can't meet until the final. France and England can't meet until the final either. And none of the 4 can face each other before the semi-finals. It's designed to protect the showcase matchups, to make sure the best final is actually possible. Whether it works out that way, that's entirely up to 90 minutes of football and whatever chaos the draw throws at everyone. So what actually came out of the draw? The highlights write themselves. Mexico opens the entire tournament against South Africa, a replay of the 2010 World Cup opener. Defending champions Argentina in their first game face Algeria. England open against Croatia, which, if you remember Euro 2018, is a matchup with history. France face Senegal in what might be the most emotionally charged game of the group stage. And Curacao, a tiny Caribbean island nation, the smallest country ever to qualify for a World Cup, opens against Germany. That game alone is worth setting an alarm for. So let's bring it back to where we started. 48 countries, 12 groups, 1 trophy. The draw is basically FIFA's attempt to impose order on chaos, to make sure the best teams have a path to the final, that no group is completely unbalanced, and that every nation knows exactly who they're up against before the tournament begins. It's a system that's complicated underneath but designed to feel fair on the surface. The truth is, no matter how carefully the draw is constructed, football always finds a way to surprise you. Pot 4 teams beat Pot 1 giants. Group stage favorites go home early. The bracket that looked perfectly balanced on paper turns into carnage within 2 weeks. That's why we watch. The 2026 World Cup kicks off June 11th. If this video helped it all make sense, hit subscribe because we're going to be breaking down every group, every team, every angle between now and that opening whistle. Don't miss it.